Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your Chelyabinsk Zinc Plant Interim Report for 2007, hosted by Sergei Moisev. You remain on listen only until the question and answer session begins, and if anyone requires any assistance while you're on the conference, please key *0, and the coordinator will be happy to assist you. I'd now like to hand over to your host. Over to you now, sir.
Thank you. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Quarter 3 CZP earnings conference call. My name is Sergei Moisev. I'm the chairman of Chelyabinsk Zinc. With me today is our CFO, Mr. Boris Berman. Earlier today, we issued a press release detailing the financial results for the operation for 9 months ended September 30, 2007. Before we proceed, please note that various remarks we make about future expectations, plans, and prospects of the company constitute forward-looking statements. I would like to also draw your attention to the fact that today's press release and presentation are based on unaudited financial results prepared in accordance with IFRS. And all the statements that are involved in these financials have known and unknown risks, uncertainties, and other factors that may cause the actual results to differ materially. Today I'll start with zinc and lead market update traditionally and review the company operation results. Mr. Berman will follow up with the comments on the financials, and then, as always, we'll be happy to answer your questions. If we move over to slide 3, this is all too familiar graph for all of us. We placed our shares in November of 2006. At the time, as you see on the slide, the LME prices reached its historical maximum of roughly 4,500. As of today, zinc spot prices are on the level of 2,300, with the average LME cash price for 11 months of roughly 3,300. The record half of this year has been, the second, half of this year has been characterized by a sharp fall in zinc prices. Uncertainty surrounding the removal of the VAT rebate by the Chinese smelters that they receive on their exports of special high grade, plus the introduction of an export duty on all refined zinc, has resulted in some pause for the market, however. Let's move on to 4. As you know, there are very few mines that produce solely zinc. Most of the mines generate byproducts, and Akjal mine of ours is not an exception. Lead is a sister metal of zinc there. That was a big help for us for 9 months. Lead prices, although have fallen sharply during the last month or so, but they're still about 50% higher than they were at the beginning of this year. Thus, while the zinc may be most miners' primary focus, their revenues from lead have increased overall this year. On slide 5, we show our composition, average prices, and exchange rates in both Russia and Kazakhstan. Both miners and smelters have felt the burn of the fall in prices, and most companies have also experienced an appreciation of their local currencies. In our case, it's ruble and tenge. It wasn't an exception, as we show here. I think it won't be a surprise for everyone if I say that a stronger local currency will lower our revenues. As we sell zinc at prices linked to LME zinc price, and zinc concentrate is the main raw material, which, as we show on slide 7, is supplied to us locally as well as internationally. Akjal mine at the top is our own mine with 23,000 tons supplied to us so far. UMMC and RCC are our two main local suppliers. UMMC is on target to do 50,000 tons as per their contract, the 3-year contract that we have with both companies. RCC, however, is behind, and they have similar issues as we have encountered in Akjal, meaning lower grades. So they are behind schedule. If you prorata that to 11,000 to the full year, we will not have 25, regretfully. Partly it was substituted by Dal-Polymetal, although we are not purchasing concentrates from the Far East any longer. It's too far a ride by rail, 6 time zones, and at average prices they are today makes very little sense. Our imports are on the level of last year, and secondaries is what we have returned from most of our galvanizers. So this is basically zinc scrap and a pile of zinc cakes that we have stored for many years until we have started our weld kiln in Q1 of this year. If we move on to the smelting segment, we show here that most of our revenue, most of our tonnage comes from, obviously, the sales of zinc and zinc alloys. It's close to 95% of the total. However, good help is indium and cadmium that have appreciated over the last few years, and specifically for the first 3 quarters of this year is lead in the form of lead cake in Chelyabinsk and lead concentrates from Akjal. That was a big help on our EBITDA line at the time of fallen zinc prices. Let's move on to slide 9. Here we show that the breakup between domestic and export sales is roughly half and half, and where it goes to continuously to the big 3 galvanizers locally, MMK and LMK and Severstal, and through Euromin to the big 3 European galvanizers in Central and Eastern Europe. Brockmetal is our new acquisition. Here we only show 2% due to the fact that we have acquired it only recently. But on a full year basis, it will be off-taking close to 20,000 tons. And lastly, our mining segment operational performance. We have done, we show it on slide 10, more mining and processed more ore. We were hurt, however, by somewhat lower grades in both zinc and lead, which is customary for all mines. You go from better grades to poorer grades and vice versa year on year, and we expect that situation to change as well. Hence, our concentrate production has fallen slightly compared to the same period of 2006. This said, I'll pass on to Mr. Berman, who will fill you in on our 9-month financials. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moiseev. Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and let's start from the slide number 12. You're already familiar with the numbers, but still I have to say that our revenues increased to 11.6 billion rubles, which means growth in ruble terms by 11% and 18% by dollar terms compared to the 9 months of the previous year. Nonetheless, the margin went down and our EBITDA expressed in rubles fell by 7% and remained almost the same in dollar terms. That is about $126 million. The reasons for this fall of profitability are rather obvious. It's unfavorable change in ruble-dollar rate and growth of some costs, especially repair and maintenance costs, due to relatively high level of inflation both in Russia and Kazakhstan. But still our EBITDA margin is on the level of 28% and our net income margin is 15%. If we go to the next slide, number 13, you can see that the major part of our revenue is zinc, as usual, almost 95%. But as Mr. Moiseev already said, lead concentrate added a lot in this period due to incredibly high lead prices. On slide 14, we present our cost of sales structure, and as usual, the biggest part of the pie is materials and consumables. It's 71% in this case, and it's due to the fact that zinc concentrate was relatively very expensive in the second half of 2006 and the first half of 2007. And since we use the net average price of concentrate our costs, the high price of the previous year also inputted to this result. And now I can say that we can see some signs on the market that the relative price of concentrate started falling, as was expected. All the other costs are more or less the same as in our few previous structures, of course. The second biggest part is utilities and fuel, mostly electricity, and all the others are much lower. On slide number 15, we have split our performance by smelting and mining segments. It can be seen from here that Novazinc is slightly more than 10% of our revenues, but almost 1/4 of our gross profit. It illustrates the fact that at the moment the mining segment is more profitable than the smelting one, but this balance is now moving slightly to smelters. On slide 16, the costs of each segment are split by elements, and in case of zinc plant 75% is concentrate, and in case of Novazinc the structure is more even, and the biggest part of it are depreciation, utilities and fuel, and selling, general and administrative. On slide 17, we present the main numbers of our balance sheet. We are repaying our debt. Total debt as well as net debt are falling, and shareholders' equity are naturally grown. Cash flow presented on slide 18 shows that we made 1.4 billion cash from operating activities and spent part of it for servicing our debt and for current investing activities. Part of these investing activities are shown on slide 19, next one. Namely, we have invested about 100 million rubles for completion of well skill number 5, 350 million ruble in sulfuric acid number 4, and we started exploration of Amursky deposit and spent 100 million rubles in the period of 9 months of the current year. On the next slide, you can see the map, which shows that the deposit is not far away from Chelyabinsk and from our plant. The results of exploration make us optimistic. We decided to organize a separate company, our 100% subsidiary, and in the starting year, in the coming year, we'll complete mineral resources and resource audit, and we'll start the design of the mine, which will surely assist us in the nearest future. That's basically all, and your questions are very welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, your question and answer session will now begin. If you wish to ask a question, take your phone off mute, key *1 and then record your name. So that's *1 to ask a question or make any comments. Okay, and we have our first question, and it comes from
Sergei Donskoy. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for a very extensive presentation. I actually have quite a few questions, 4 or 5 of them. I think it may be more convenient if I proceed in sequence. My first one is actually about your concentrate purchases. As it follows from presentation, the volumes of zinc and concentrate purchased in third quarter compared to second quarter of the year increased considerably by about 40% or even 44%. The question is, what was the reason for that? It looks like inventory building. Is it so? And if yes, what was the rationale? And when do you think this inventory will flow into production?
Sergey, good evening. The answer is logistical. We prefer to increase the stockpile of concentrate in summertime because in wintertime it is much longer and more expensive to unload the concentrate from rail cars. It mostly comes frozen. So we tend to, every year we tend to increase the pile in the summertime and then gradually spend it or treat it during the winter time.
Okay, I see. And could you remind, is your accounting method is LIFO, FIFO for concentrate?
It's weighted average for IFRS.
Okay, thanks. Then my second question is actually about the nearest future. We are currently standing right at the end of the year, and I believe you probably already understand some key parameters of your economics next year. So my question is, could you provide us some guidance on what premium do you expect to get on domestic sales relative to LME? In 2007 it was 15%, so far as I remember. And also, do you have some idea of what growth in electricity tariffs and salaries you are going to experience next year at Akzhal and at Chelyabinsk?
Борисович.
Yeah, speaking about premiums, unfortunately, the premiums in Europe are falling sharply. Say, they don't express it in percents as we do, in absolute numbers, and the fall from say $350 to 150 has already happened. But despite that, we expect that our premiums on domestic market will fall just slightly, maybe from 15 to 14%. That's our expectation. Speaking about tariffs, unfortunately, it can reach as much as 15 to 17%, both electricity and wages.
It's in ruble terms.
In ruble terms, sure.
Okay.
Luckily, ruble stopped appreciating against dollar, at least last week.
Okay, yeah, I see. Thank you. Then my next question is actually about your performance at Akjal. If you have these numbers somewhere handy, could you tell me what is approximately the stripping ratio now at Akjal, and what it approximately should be when the backlog is eliminated? And also, if you have these numbers, what average grades for zinc and lead you expect in '08 for the year?
First part of your question is easy. Our stripping ratio is currently almost 5, which is much higher than in previous couple of years. And as for the second part, it's a bit more complicated, but still we think that this year was the worst in terms of zinc content in the ore.
Okay. Then this brings me to my last question for the time being. It's about Amurska deposit. I understand that you will only probably be able to provide any details of your plans somewhere in the first half of next year. But maybe now you have some idea of what approximately it should like in light of the significant increase in the average grade. Do you plan to build a bigger mine with production up to 3 times compared to your previous plans, or this increase in grades only means longer mine life? And also, do you think there will be any changes to approximate capex figures that you tentatively announced before? And lastly, if possible, do you think it will be primarily underground operation, or it will be split in some percentage between open pit and underground? Thanks a lot.
Let's start from the end. Most likely it will be underground mining. As for the rest, it's a set of very interesting questions, and we are asking each other basically the same. Most likely it will be not 3 times more in terms of capacity, because we just don't need 150 additional zinc and concentrate, and it doesn't. But it can be, it must be somewhere between 50 and 100,000. But it's a bit early to give an exact answer. We need some more investigation and exploration.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Once again, if you wish to ask a question or make any comments, please key *1 now. Okay, thank you. And our next question comes.
Василий Николаев. Hello? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi. I actually have one very small question. It is about it is about MySpace listing, and the question is, are you considering to get a MySpace listing or not? Thanks.
Yes, yes, we are, Vasily.
And do you have any time in mind?
It's early next year as soon as we register all the paperwork for that listing.
All right.
It's a process. We have started that. The end of it should be the first few months of next year.
All right. Okay. Thanks very much.
Anytime.
Okay, thank you. And our next question comes from...
Sergey Donskoy. Yes, sorry, gentlemen. One little follow-up question on stripping cost and stripping ratio. If it's 5 now, do you have some approximate estimates what it can go down to, hopefully next year on average?
It's a bit early to answer, but to be conservative, I'd say it will go down in 2009, and it may or may not remain more or less the same in the coming year.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. And once again, if you wish to ask a question or make any comments, please key *1 now. We don't seem to have any further questions in the queue, sir.
Well, in this case, thank you, everybody, and...
Yes, we do have a question. Would you like to take it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and it comes from...
Sergey Donskoy. Well, I keep sitting there while my colleagues are listening. Well, the question is, I think that this year you have premium on export sales of approximately 5% relative to LME price. Given that premiums are falling in Europe 2-3 times, do you think this should go down next year?
Yes, but it will go down from 5 to say 2%, so it's not very harmful for us on leaseholder.
Okay, from 5 to 2%. Thanks a lot. I think that this was my last question.
Okay, thank you. And we have another question, and it comes from...
Maxim Semenovich. Hello. I have a little follow-up question regarding Amurskaya deposit. Could you please tell me when expected the first concentrate and the first ore coming from this deposit and the first concentrate to come to Chelyabinsk?
We expect it to come in 2010, but we need 2 more years to develop it, build infrastructure, etc. So 2010 is the first batch, but we will release these details next year once we do the feasibility study, so that we are more concrete.
Mm-hmm. And one more question regarding the realized prices for other products other than zinc. What is the current, maybe third quarter realized price for copper clinker and for the products that are produced on Brock Metals factory?
Copper clinker is a very sophisticated thing because We don't sell clinker as is. We sell our services. We treat gold and silver which belongs to the miners. For example, usually we convert these precious metals from the form of zinc concentrate to the form of copper clinker, and they pay us treatment charge. And besides that, we have some precious metals which belong to us, for example, which come with imported concentrates. In this case, we pay to copper plants treatment charge, and they convert step by step these precious metals from clinker to gold and silver. So the answer is a very long story.
Okay. And what about Brock metals products?
The premium they obtain for the alloys, of course, depend on the sort of alloy, and they vary from $400 to $700 per ton.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And once again, if you wish to ask a question or make any comments, please key star 1 now. And we have another question, and it comes from...
Кривохижин Сергей, Financial Corporation Equity. Hello?
Yes, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks for the presentation, and my question concerns the expenses. Your general and administrative expenses dropped very considerably by 54%. Could you precise the reason for that? Thanks.
Do you compare with the previous year?
Yes.
The IPO expenses were significant. That's the main part of the answer.
Uh-huh. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And once again, star 1 to ask a question. We have another question, and it comes from... Please go ahead and ask your question. You key star 1, and your line is live.
Hi, this is Vasily again. I have another question, and would you mind sharing your view of zinc price from here?
Well, our view of the zinc price is a kind of average of 20 or 25 different views all over the world.
Sure.
And for the time being, it's somewhere between $2,400 and $2,500 per ton of zinc. That's average for 2008.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, once again, if you wish to ask a question, key star 1 now. We have another question, and it comes from...
Yes, hello, this is Sergei Donskoy one more time. Can stand at attention and ask one more question. Just a follow-up, actually, to one of the previous. You commented on a year-on-year decline in SG&A costs. What was the reason for a quarter-on-quarter drop? Costs declined quite considerably.
Well, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's just difference between audited numbers and unaudited, so there are some reclassifications, so let's wait till the year end, because nothing dramatic happened.
Okay, I see, thanks.
Okay, thank you. And our next question comes from...
Marat Gamitov.
Hi, it's Mark Nabita from UniCredit. I had one question regarding your recent strong exploration results on Amur deposit. So are you going to reconsider your outlook on money from this deposit starting 2010?
Hi, Murat. This is sort of a follow-up to another question regarding what kind of factory we are going to build that was coming from Sergei Donskoy. But the thing is that you know, we need to do the feasibility study, and we need to get the results from all the drilling that we have practically complete. It's 98% done right now, so by the turn of the year it's going to be done, and then we will be able to say for sure. So far, we see the thickness of the ore body, we see some grades of 16%, so all that tells us that it's more than originally expected than in 1970s, and perhaps significantly more. So we may build a 100,000-ton factory, but let's not jump ahead of time here and see what we have.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Once again, star 1 for a question. Once again, star 1 to ask a question or make any comments. Gentlemen, we don't seem to have any questions.
Well, then we thank everyone for the third quarter conference call, and we look forward to seeing you again next year and hearing from you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes your conference call for this afternoon. Thank you for joining us, and you may now all disconnect. If my speakers will stay online, I'll take you back to your sub-conference.